Hey everybody, Salvin Brown, CEO and founder of the Center for Healing and Peak Performance and Integrated Peak Performance Services. I'm also the author of Journey to Personal Greatness, Mind, Body, and Soul, a blueprint for life balance and self-mastery. Available at all your major bookstores, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Amazon.com.ca, and in Canada, Chapters Indigo Online. Also, I created this, the Journey to Personal Greatness Journal. I'm a big one, you'll see it in every video. Big one on journaling. You got to chat to yourself every so often and see what's up, see what's bothering you, see where your roadblocks are. The only way you can do that is to reflect, take a 40,000 foot view of your problems or your roadblocks and see them for what they are. That's why you can always help somebody else better than you can help yourself, because you're not in it, and that's what a journal helps you do. All right, so this is short and sweet. This is Humpday Hustle. On Mondays we do Monday Mindset, where we give you a little checkup from the neck up, little nuggets of information to help you. Just one idea is all sometimes you need to help you get through that roadblock and to see the light. Humpday Hustle Wednesday in the middle of the week. It's all about the body. Give you things about structural balance, nutrition, and just taking care of keep the peak performance in your body. And Saturdays are Soulful Saturdays, a little food for your soul, some ideas again to nurture your soul so that you can use to keep that authenticity. There's no use again getting all the trappings of life that we chase, the material stuff, and you found out that you lost yourself. So that's what Soulful Saturday is all about. All right, so today, Humpday Hustle, short and sweet. Let's make it that way. We want to talk about 3 key muscles involved in lower back pain and dysfunction. 3 key muscles that you can think about, that I want you to think about when you're talking about lower back pain and for helping increase power during your workouts and to reduce downtime. All right, so key points. Number 1, the role of muscles. Number 2, imbalances. And we're going to talk about number 3 is we're going to talk about the 3 key muscles that you should consider. Then I never want to just give you information. I want to give you some action steps that you can do. So the 3 action steps we're going to look at are visual scanning, get consultation, and the last one is unilateral focus is what we're going to talk about. All right, so let's start with number 1, the role of muscles. Here's the 2 things that the 2 key things that muscles do for us. 1 helps to move us from here to there and to get action done. So when you think about doing something, muscles are there to connect your thoughts to actions. So that's 1 key thing that muscles do. The next thing they do is support. They help support the body and support the structure. So those are the 2 key things that muscles do. So you want to make sure that they're doing those, and that's going to lead into what we're talking about. Number 2. All right, so number 2, imbalances. I want to talk about that when we're looking at the role of muscles. When you're looking at yourself or somebody else, I want you to start thinking about what happens when something goes off. Your shoulder heights are different, or your hip or your feet turned out. Start looking at yourself during your workouts or when you're walking, or start looking at people, start people watching, and look at imbalances that you see in people, and then you start to realize that for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. And so when you're looking at a shoulder that's too high, or or a foot that's rotated, realize that something's either weak or strong on the opposite side. So the imbalances are happening, and structure governs function. So when you see somebody off, or yourself that is off, realize there's something going on in the nervous system that needs to get checked. All right, so number 3, 3 key muscles that I want you to consider when we're talking about protecting your lower back pain. And remember, muscles are there to support and to move you. So if you're having some issues with your lower back, I want you to think about these 3. There's many more muscles affecting the lower back, and many more. In osteopathy, we think about organs that are affecting your lower back. There's many other factors, but I'm going to limit it to 3 key ones. Your psoas, your hip flexors that are deep inside your abdominal area, your glute max, so the buttock area, and your lats that help to tie into that lower back. And we're going to talk about all 3 of them. So psoas, the hip flexors, when your hip flexors are off, they're going to affect, hip flexors, they do 2 things. When you're standing, they help to flex your trunk forward and move you that way. When you're sitting or non-weight bearing, they help to bring your knees to your chest. So when they're tight or they're having problems, you'll notice that when someone stands, they have an increased curvature in their lower back, and that can lead to, and what I want you to look at when I talk about number 2, the imbalances, I want you to look, when you look at somebody from the side, do they have more curve on the right versus the left? Because sometimes you'll see that when the hip flexors are too tight, the psoas are too tight, you'll have that imbalance where one side tips and the other side's not. That pelvis is rotated more, or the lower back is increased, and that can lead to some lower back pain. And that can be one of the causes. Glute max. Here's in the glutes. I want you to look at somebody from behind and see, do the both glutes pop at the same? Do they peak at the same, or do you find that one's more flaccid, flat, and the other one's popping? And when they lay down, when you're laying down, have somebody take a look at the glutes, especially if you're an athlete, figure athlete, or one of the fitness athletes, or even runners, anybody. Doesn't matter, because the glutes, there's a lot of power in your glutes, but if you're not firing properly, that can lead to gait problems when you're walking. The power doesn't come from one side versus the other. And when you have that imbalance in the glutes, your tailbone, the sacrum, is stuck in the middle, and it counts on equal balance between two sides. You're going to have where your sacrum rotates out of place, then that's going to affect your spine that sits on top of it, so L4 and L5 sits on top of the tailbone, the sacrum. And when you have a rotation in the sacrum because of imbalances, you're going to rotate, you're also going to rotate in the one that sits on it. It's like the basement of your house. You shift the basement of the house eventually will become unstable and shift. So you got to make sure that tailbone's safe, and the way the tailbone stays safe is to make sure you got symmetry between your two glutes and they're firing properly. All right, the last one is the lats. A lot of people forget about the lats when it comes to lower back pain because it's not in the lower, we think it's not in the lower back. But when you take a look at the lats on an anatomy chart, and we'll put one in the insert that you'll see, it runs right into the lower back. The lats come down from your shoulders, and they come and they join into this big, thick connective tissue, the fascia, in your lower back with the glutes, and in the front it will be the hip flexors. So tight lats or imbalancing your lats. When you see a shoulder that's too high or low, I want you to think about what's going on with the lats. If it's high, the one on the high side may not be firing properly because it's stretched. The one on the low side may be overfiring because it's overcontracting. So I want you to think about that, and then that's going to lead to the glutes on the opposite side compensating. So you can have all these imbalances all over the place because of asymmetry and imbalances. So I want you to think about all that when you're looking at you, when you're having someone look at you, or when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, or when you're looking at someone else working out. If you're a personal trainer, I want you to think about all those things with your clients. Why do they keep getting shoulder injuries or lower back pain? Or not having the power they need to get things done, you know, when they're pushing or pulling, you see that imbalance. Start thinking about symmetry and balance, what's going on farther away, glutes, lats, hip flexors, and then there's other muscles, of course, that I'm not mentioning. I'm keeping it to the three. All right, let's talk about the action steps that I want you to do. Number one, visual scan. Like I said, have someone look at you, or you start looking at other people and start to make notes about, the more you look at yourself, look at people in that way of looking for balance, the more you're going to spot things. You know, the more you try things and the more you attempt to do things, the more you're going to see these imbalances start popping up. They get easier and easier. So I want you to start to use your visual scan, or if someone scan you to see if you're struggling with lower back pain or power in the glutes when you're working out, or hamstrings or lats. I want you to have someone look at you, and you start looking at others. If you're a trainer, if you're somebody working in that service industry, working with people, it's great to start training your eyes to see these imbalances. All right, number two, get consultation. Start working with a team. As I'm always saying, you got to build your team. I hope you're doing that. Hope you're going around and building, you know, a lot of people have healthcare at work, extended healthcare. They pay for it every year, but they never use it up. And they have all kinds of services, physio, naturopath, chiropractic, massage, osteo. Start to build your team. Get consultation. Get someone with an eye, look at someone every day. Or again, if you can't afford all that, if you're not in an area where you can, have a friend look at you and say, are my shoulders off? Do I look symmetrical? And, and tie the two together. The last one, unilateral focus. If you do have something that's off, one, I suggest that you get in someone who can look at your structure and get your balance. But if you can't, it's affordability or location, you can't get to somebody, I want you to start thinking about working out on this side that you find that's not popping, or maybe you notice a weakness. Try to do some unilateral work, so one-sided work. So if you're, lat pull down, if you notice that one side's weaker, start focusing on just doing a cable, one arm row, to help balance out that side so you can create that balance. But the best thing I would say though is to get into someone to check the nervous system and make sure it's working. If you're doing glutes, your glutes aren't popping, here's a great exercise. When you're walking, watch out for gait. Leave that leg, the leg at the back, leave it out longer. And be careful of having your gait that's even. So you're popping in the glutes or walking, because most of your contraction in the glutes come when the legs are at the back behind you. And a lot of people walk short-strided and they never use their glutes. The glutes end up becoming atrophied and lack of use because they never take a long gait stride, or maybe they take a stride on one side and not long enough on the other, so they grow this imbalance. So start thinking about how you're walking. Simple things like taking longer strides, really focusing on your glutes to get there. Squats, there's so many things. So focus on unilateral work to help get the side that's weaker firing again. So do an extra set. So maybe if you do bilateral, both hands, finish with an extra few sets and a few reps on the weaker side to help bring it up and to bring that imbalance up. So those are my advice for you. Get into someone, though I suggest that you get with a team. It's very tough to think about case by case. So get with somebody, build your team, and let's get you to that peak performance levels. All right, so this is 3 key muscles that I want you, they're involved in lower back pain dysfunction, I want you to think about. This is short and sweet. I'll try to make it that way, but give you all the details. Check out the bottom. I'm going to scroll our website, tchp.com, journeypersonalgreatness.com. Visit our site. We are here to help you. I got a team of people. We work diligently on helping all our clients to achieve optimal health, peak performance, and to relentlessly pursue what brings them joy, and we call it their personal greatness. All right, so anytime you need to connect with us, visit us. We're here for you. Until next time, I want you to be relentless about your pursuit for personal greatness.